Art, the expression or application of human creativity, skills, and imagination, typically in a visual form such as painting or sculpture, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. I believed video games were an art form once I played the game Abzu, which was a game about exploring a vast, beautiful ocean that was full of life and nice-looking animals with detailed backgrounds and play areas. While I did think this game was going to be similar to Subnautica, I found out this game turned out to be a great musically and visually driven experience. And while the gameplay can be an art form, another feature is the soundtrack, which can make or break a game. The best soundtracks can be found in games like Halo and Destiny 1 and 2, which are both from Bungie. The Mass Effect series was a fabled series loved by many. Its recent drop-off of the original trilogy, with the addition of Mass Effect Andromeda, was hated due to its lack of storytelling, which was not to the same quality as the original trilogy. Throughout the trilogy, you had care for not only the characters, but the story that was involved multiple characters like Garrus and Joker and Tali. All these characters had a meaning behind them and personal goals, and you learned even more about them during Mass Effect 2, as you go through the various locality missions to make sure the ending is perfect. A good game usually has a great soundtrack, or sometimes a game can not be that great at all, but it can have a great soundtrack. By this, I'm referring to the Destiny franchise. This MMO Lite has a great premise, but was executed poorly, especially during the sequel. But the soundtrack kept the game through the experience and empowered you during some moments. Another great example of a great soundtrack is during the Halo franchise. The early ones, the trilogies, Halo 1 through 3, had great themes during their ending fights, and they felt so colossal and epic, and just kept you engaged as you played. Now, those first two parts were what my partner had written, but he was not able to do the audio for this. So, here's my personal experience with games being art. The moment I believed that video games could be art was when I played Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, which is to this day still one of my favorite games of all time. The game had an excellent jungle setting with a strong narrative about betrayal. And the game itself felt great to play, and the boss fights all felt like they had meaning, and there was no real filler or low point. My personal favorite moment of Snake Eater is the final boss fight against the boss, which really felt like a proper climax. At this point in the game, Snake had accomplished every part of his mission, except killing his mentor, the boss. The moment when you finish the boss fight, there's this very emotional scene that plays where Snake has to take the boss's weapon, the Patriot, and you're just left with this complete moment of silence where Snake is holding this gun to the boss's head, but you, the player, have to pull the trigger. I've also recently come to appreciate the JRPG genre, and I started getting into them with the Persona series, starting with Persona 4. And while I enjoyed Persona 4, I was blown away by its sequel, Persona 5. The game hooked me right away with its colorful characters and extremely fun spin on the turn-based combat. The press turn system rewards those that exploit an enemy's weakness, and for doing so, you get an extra turn. And on top of that, The hyper-stylized, cel-shaded look of the game made it very pleasing to look at. It was just so exciting seeing one more flash on the screen, which, while press turn was in Persona 4, it wasn't anywhere near as flashy as it is in Persona 5. And the game's soundtrack does a great job of telling you exactly how to feel with whatever's going on, whether you're in normal combat, exploring a palace, fighting a boss, exploring Shibuya, or you're just in a normal cutscene. The entire game just has this large emphasis on time management because ultimately you are limited by the in-game calendar. And if you want to clear a palace in a single day, you can, but only if you have good resource management, or you could just only do a little bit and then go back, come back into the palace, and finish it in multiple days. And if you want to do confidants with your favorite characters, you totally can do that. And that's even encouraged by the abilities that now come with doing your own confidants, which wasn't really present in the previous Persona games. Everything in the game just felt like it had so much care put into it, and it just all made Persona 5 such a unique experience. Now, this was only the account of 2 high school students' experiences with video games being an art form. Just the 2 of us could go on and on about our experiences that we've had with other games, or more of the games that we've talked about, but we limited ourselves to avoid checking out this video's length. Now, if you have any feedback to give, or your own personal experiences that you want to share, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Anyways, thank you so much for sitting through this video, and until next time.